In these job discussion videos, I've talked about the advanced jobs very minimally because you have to take into consideration of when you get them, right before the final dungeon. Usually whenever I say this thing is only gotten from the final dungeon, that sounds far away, but realistically you could book it to the rift right after taking down Melusine, speed run through all 25 bosses in there, grab the man-eater or whatever, and then run or teleport your ass out. Most people probably won't do this, but you could do this. These jobs, no, they only unlock once you get the 4 tablets and unseal all 12 legendary weapons, meaning they can only be used for the Rift and the post-game advanced dungeon. Necromancer has it even worse, being unlocked if you beat the final super boss, so there's literally nothing to use it on besides a boss rush that would be trivialized without it. And to be honest, I don't even know if you can roll a Necromancer in a 4-job Fiesta. With that in mind, Gladiator. They're a very interesting one, being able to equip lots of different weapon types, with the only notable omission being katanas. No Masamune, disappointing, but Defender, sweet. Something interesting that will probably never be relevant, gladiators can equip axes but not hammers, meaning those two weapon types actually do have a difference. They're not missing much, really it just means they can't use the Gaia hammer with no magic underflow, but it's still a really weird choice. Their stat spread is kinda crazy, not being stereotypically frontliner. Okay, well they do have a shit ton of strength, tied with Monk for highest in the game, and the negative magic score isn't too out there either. But their HP stat is weirdly low, and they're tied with Ninja for second fastest in the game, which is crazy for someone who can use axes and heavy armor. I don't know what they were getting at with these stats and weapons, or even these outfits, but it makes them very unique, and good thing since this game already has one too many white bread tanks. They have some very fun ideas for abilities too. Their first one learned is Lure, which is like a game shark code that forces you to get into an encounter every less than 5 steps. It's like the Pokemon Black and White encounter rate, makes it very simple to grind, especially combined with Advance's quick save encounter bug. Their innate ability is Finisher, which does one of 3 things: an elemental attack that hits the damage cap, or insta-kills if they're weak to the element and not heavy, a critical hit, or nothing. The chance of getting the elemental attack increases as you level up the job, maxing out at 50%, but it sure doesn't feel like it when you need that damage, kinda like Dance in a way, I guess. In a weird quirk of how the move works, Krill's elemental attack will whiff on flying enemies since its birth. Long Reach is a non-innate passive that makes all of your attacks ignore Row, which is a little redundant on Gladiator since they can use bows, but bows suck, so I kinda get it. It would go great with their last ability, Blade Blitz, which is essentially a learnable kick. It hits every enemy for less damage than a regular attack, but several times more than any kick would do. If you're not using bows, this attack does get screwed over by the back row, hence my previous comment, but it's still a good way to finish off weak enemies, and is used well as a chicken knife command. Personally, I wish Blade Blitz was the innate active, but the devs probably wanted to show off their crazier command first. Plus, this way it's less redundant with Monk. They already stole the strength stat, don't take that from them too. Well, these guys already have the highest strength and can equip shields. Not much to do there aside from the obvious rapid fire spell blade. Equip katanas would make them a surprisingly good support role. With the Defender, Masamune, and 14 agility, they can do lots of stuff very quickly. With the Defender, a good shield, Elf Cape, Sheer Hadori or Image, and Mirage Vest, they could be an unstoppable buffing machine until someone casts a spell in their direction. You could replace the ability in there with something else supportive like Time, Summon, Mix, anything to help the party while they tank some hits. They can equip spears, so jump? They're better than Dragoons at it, that's for fucking sure. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's a shame they can't use hammers, because Blade Blitz with the Gaia or Thor's hammer would be great. Big damage that ignores Row. Maybe that's why they can't, it would totally invalidate bows altogether. Finisher is one of those doesn't care about your stats abilities if you just want to fish for the elemental attack. Yeah, if you get a crit with the healing staff, you wasted your turn, but you like gambling, right? That's why you're here in the first place. It's like Dance if Dance was good, or any fun whatsoever. Blade Blitz is alright to throw in any physical job, like the Samurai for some crits because it doesn't ignore those, so you can't go wrong there. Long Reach can make some tanky jobs even tankier, and would actually go great on Berserker so the row problem ceases to be an issue. If you're using the Rune Axe, which you probably are since you'll have every legendary weapon, it's probably better if you put a magic ability on instead since almost no boss is a back row target, but hey, if you're in a 4-job Fiesta and you manage to get Berserker and Gladiator, first of all, goddamn man, I'm sorry about that. Second, there's your synergy. If I was going to be extremely reductive, I'd say Cannoneer is like DLC Chemist. They both have unremarkable stat lines, and they both centralize around a combine items ability. I'll get to that in a second, but the other two abilities are easy to explain. Open Fire is a decently strong, row-ignoring, non-sleep disturbing, somehow, attack that can do one of 4 random debuffs. The best one is the insta-kill, not only because of the obvious, but it's also noticeably the strongest one, so even against bosses you're just gambling on that 1 out of 16 chance. They also get a passive that increases EXP gain of the equipper by 50%, great against the Iron Giants at the end of the castle section of the Rift, and would be amazing in World 2 against the Shield Dragons if you could get it that early. With the quick save encounter bug, the Shield Dragon is the second fight in the sealed castle, so I guess it's up to you if that's worth it. 2 Iron Giants are the second quick load encounter in the Rift castles, so... Anyway, combine. This guy spawns in Crescent's Inn after you get the advanced jobs, and you can buy these shot items from him, which you use with the combine ability. Use a shot item, use a regular item, boom, full party damage and a debuff. Or full party damage and an element. Or full party damage, but it does extra damage towards dragons. It's a more damage-focused mix is what I'm getting at, and you can do some great debuffs like slow and defense down. The 3 shot types are just damage variations on each other, so if you have some gil burning a hole in your menu, just stock up on a bunch of blitz shot and you're set. That's kind of it. Cannoneers can use swords, but you're way past the point of needing sleep or ancient sword. Although their stats are decent enough for the rune blade, they can use shields, which I always forget since, I mean, look at these guys. Combine and open fire are both good on anyone commands, so you can definitely do that. I'm sounding dismissive here, but Cannoneer is actually a really fun job to mess with, and Open Fire is just another gambling command, except way more fun. The advanced job as a set all have some variation on a random thing happens command, but I take any of these over shit like animals and dance. Well, maybe not any of them, actually. I've talked a lot of shit on Oracle because it's a bad job, but I'll just point you to these videos for why they're bad. I'll try to be more objective here. With Condemn, just use Doom if something isn't heavy because it ignores both death immunity and also works on undead. The Asuna one isn't worth using because the delayed recover isn't practical, and while the large healing of the Cure one is appealing, that delay can get you killed before it goes off. I'd rather just rely on a high potion of the healing staff. Speaking of, the Oracle's best in the game magic stat does mean that its spells will be super strong. The heal staff is impressive, giving it holy and the sage staff is a great way to nuke something, and while Black and Summon wouldn't be the most practical because of no rods or knives, Bahamut and Flare are non-elemental, so you could still get some use out of them. But if you want any secondary command, I say just use White. Predict would take forever to explain, so I'm just going to put the description from the wiki up on screen. There are a couple of purely beneficial ones, like healing or only hitting the enemies, but most of them are a double-edged sword. And if you don't have like flame shields or coral rings, I really don't think it's worth using in the first place. No matter how I experiment with this move, the damage does not impress me even without taking into account that I'm nuking myself for several hundred, sometimes over 1,000 damage. Okay, objectivity is decreasing rapidly. If I were to try and be as objective as possible, I think it is feasible to make this ability practical somehow. Alternating between the 3 MP and 7 MP costs means you'll have a consistent cycle of spells, but it's so much work to do that compared to the other wiki jobs of Chemist and Blue Mage that I just don't find Predict worth bothering with at all. If you're forced to use the Oracle, give them a magic command or make them a heal bot or something, and pull out Doom when something needs instantly killed. Also, I wasn't sure where to put these two things, but Condemn's timer gets shorter the higher the Oracle's job level, maxing out at 5 Final Fantasy seconds when mastered, and they get a passive that boosts ABP gain by 50% to anyone who has it equipped. Cool. The only time anyone is going to use the Necromancer is if you put in a Game Shark code to hack in the advanced jobs early, like what me and Backlog Buster did, but I might as well go over it. We've come this far. The Necromancer is like the Blue Mage if the spell acquisition wasn't shit. They kill certain monsters, they get a spell. Some of the spells are very art style breaking, to put it a certain way, but they are incredibly strong and useful, which is a complete waste of a cool job. Their stats are great, having the 3rd highest HP of all jobs despite being a mage, and having a very beefy magic stat. And they can use rods, so their elemental attacks can wreck some serious house. I really don't know why they tried to balance this job at all. They might as well have given it plus 40 and everything for all that you use it against. The Necromancer is innately undead, which sounds bad. and I guess it is, but it's less bad than it sounds. Alongside the immunity to instant death and drain, they can be revived with Phoenix Downs, and they get their own powerful drain attack by killing a Mind Flayer or the Damned, which are very common enemies. They also get Oath as a command, which is like if animals summoned demons instead of woodland creatures. Weirdly enough, while animals and Gaia give outcomes based on the user's level, Oath is just a static % chance of spawning 4 different monsters: the Skeleton, Flaremancer, Rajiforms, and the Zombie Dragon. No user level impacting it, no Necromancer job level impacting it, it just is. You use it until you have 1 Dark Art and then shelve it forever. It's a mage, so standard rules apply. Quick for bootleg dual cast, equip shield because Dark Arts are good as is, MP plus 30%, the works. Black mage, summoner, or any rot boosting job can get a lot of mileage out of all their fire spells. This is kind of a wet fart of a job to go out on, so here, all of the Dark Arts animations for your viewing pleasure.